Hello, my name is Dale and welcome to the Talking Stick Show. So we are on our 7th episode today, and I'd like to just quickly thank all the listeners and viewers who've joined us in the past or in the present and the future. Thank you for your support. And if you like what you see, then please subscribe or comment. I really appreciate it. So today we've got a very special host with us. We have Amanda Joy Harrison. Hello, Amanda.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you for coming on. You're looking lovely.
Oh, thanks.
And how are you doing today, Amanda?
Do you know, I'm having a lovely day today. It's been really nice. I was just saying before we came on, I've had my lovely yoga practice this morning. I've been doing a little bit of meditation. I'm getting into mantras at the moment and done a bit of networking, checked in with some of my therapist tribe and been on the radio and now I'm chatting to you guys. So
yay!
Lots of excitement today.
Welcome.
It's great to be here.
Thank you. It's great to have you on, Amanda. So, Amanda, tell the listeners, those who are listening, a bit about yourself and what you do.
Right, where do I start? So I'm Amanda Joy, and I've been a therapist for over 20 years. Lots of body work, energy work, massage therapy, NLP, and clinical hypnotherapy. More recently, I have opened, very excited about this, the Northern College of Clinical Hypnotherapy, where I'm training people to become clinical hypnotherapists and supporting them into their practice so that they can also help other people too. I also have a wellbeing radio show, which is what I do for fun, and I'm a podcaster too. So I think that's quite a long list, isn't it? But that's a little bit about what I do.
Beautiful. And so what time are these shows on? You're doing one tonight, are you? At 8 o'clock, was it?
I host the Wednesday Wellbeing Show, which is just a great space to bring experts in their field, people like yourself, people who are yoga teachers, who teach different philosophies, therapists, other wellbeing practitioners, nutritionalists, homeopathic people who work with homeopathy, just anything really that's wellbeing based, because I really believe that we're in this fantastic time of awakening and transformation, and that people are really searching for spirituality. People are really looking for alternative, I don't really like that word, but new ways of living well. And as therapists and practitioners and well-being, integrative medical practitioners, we have so many things and tools that we can share with people. So my show is just a real, like a forum or a platform to share this knowledge with people who perhaps wouldn't normally get the opportunity to hear about these sorts of things. So the conversations we have, all sorts of things on, everything from 5G to aromatherapy.
Yeah, I was on the show. When was I on the show? Around about a month ago, I think it was, on the Tuesday Vibe show. So it was really, really good fun. It's lovely to hear and lovely to see people spreading the spiritual message and their own journey. So what got you onto the spiritual path then, Amanda? What got you to do what you are doing now?
Well, it kind of started quite a long time ago. I was nursing within the NHS, and my job within the NHS was to look after people who had spinal injuries. So these were people with quite a high lesion, quite a high break, and most of my patients were paralysed from the neck down. Most of them were also ventilated as well, had machines to help them breathe, and needed quite a lot of medical support. And I worked with several patients who really struggled with pain. And of course, from a Western perspective, spine and there's no messages, there's no signals going through, why would you have pain? So they called it neurological pain. We don't really know why you're in pain, but we can't tell you you're not, because we can't feel what you're feeling. And one day I was working with a patient who said, I'm having real bad pain today. And I was like, okay, well, let's see if we can up your pain medication. And these were opiate-based pain medicines that I was giving. And he said, you do realise when you give me this medicine, it doesn't take away my pain. It just stops me from being able to tell you that I'm in pain. And I was like,
wow.
Oh, this is horrendous.
Hold on, there's something wrong there.
I didn't get into nursing to just put people in clinical straitjackets and shut them up. I want to help you, you know, this is awful. So I was like, okay, we have to start looking at alternatives. So, you know, at the time there was new research into lots of what we called alternative medicines at the time. And one of the practitioners that we brought in, I used to think she was a witch. She probably was.
We had a witch on last week, actually.
Did you? Fantastic.
I'm a witch as well. I'm sure I have been a witch many times as well.
We're all witches. But she came in and she put her hands on my patient's head. I didn't know what she was doing, but I saw, because you could see the pain in his face. He was quite uncomfortable, and I saw the pain just drain out of his face. It was like he just went into a blissful state of relaxation. The colour started coming back into his face, and he drifted off into a blissful sleep and was pain-free for a couple of days afterwards. Wow. And so we looked at reflexology, we looked at hypnotherapy, which kind of really got me into NLP, but we looked at all different things. But this sort of witchy woman who came, I invited her back again, and I just said, from a very Western background, I was like, what are you doing? What do you do? Are you casting spells or something? What is this? And she explained to me about Reiki and how it's universal life force energy, and how what she does is she's a channel for this energy, and she just channels it, and it's an intelligent energy force that goes to wherever it's needed. And in this case, I could really see how absolutely amazing it was for managing clients' pain. So I said, do it to me. I want to experience this. And so she put her hands on me, and I felt just a great state of peace. I felt warmth coming from her hands. I felt like a cool breeze was blowing on my face. And it just was like, wow, this is incredible. I don't even know what I'm feeling. I wouldn't even know how to describe it. And she said to me, I really think that you're a healer, and I think you should check this out. So I did. It was quite a long time ago, so there weren't so many people teaching Reiki in those days. So I ended up going down to the south of England and training with Barry Mapp, who was my Reiki master. Amazing guy. And I deliberately chose him because his background was very scientific. And he's actually got an amazing course on science and philosophy and healing kind of come together in agreement. And so I went with him, did my training. Got really fascinated by energy medicine, which led me into doing traditional Chinese medicine at the Northern College of Acupuncture. And then I got in styles of massage. I studied psychology, NLP, counselling, and stopped nursing, and travelled the world a bit and learned all about different cultures and experienced lots of amazing things, did lots of training in other parts of the world too. And then about 3 years ago, came back to England and set up a little practice in Harrogate. And it's kind of all started there, really. 4 years ago.
So where are you living now then, Amanda?
So I actually live in an absolutely gorgeous little town called South Shields. It's on the coast in the northeast. I just love being by the sea. So I visited here a lot, and I just thought I need to live here. Yeah. So I was very much drawn to come in to live by the coast, and then of course I ended up with a radio show and opening my school as well. So it was a great move for me coming here. But I still hang out in Harrogate. I still come down to Harrogate and still have a clinic in Harrogate as well. So I still work in Harrogate.
Beautiful. And so how are you finding this COVID-19 situation then, Amanda? How has everything changed in your life at the moment?
Do you know, it was really hard. I have a lot of friends all over the world. And so I was talking to lots of friends in Italy and Spain who were looking at my social media posts when I was saying, I'm going to make sure everything's safe. I'm going to make sure everything's like really clean and I'm still working. And they were like, shut down, shut down. You shouldn't be working. So I kind of closed down before a lot of other people did and took myself into social isolation, kind of came home and kind of visited friends and family on my way back home and checked in with everybody before I came home. But then I had like a week of just like sorting everything out. How am I going to live? What am I going to do? How am I going to eat and pay the rent if I'm not working? And I had a week of kind of sorting things out in kind of busy head mode. And then sat on the sofa and went, oh my goodness me, I've worked so hard to get my business going and now I've just walked away from everything. Whoa. And I kind of went through fear, shock, and then into grief, and had a real kind of a day of sorrow, really, that I wasn't able to work with people at the moment. Didn't know how long it was going to last for, but it felt really overwhelming. And I allowed myself to have that time to feel all those emotions, and then was like, okay, let's do this. So got back on it, and it's actually been amazing. It's given me time to really reflect on just how busy I was. I don't know how I managed to do everything in the day that I did. And it's made me realise that perhaps the busyness that I was putting into my day was a really good way of avoiding just being with myself. Although I've had a lovely meditation practice for about 4 years, like a daily meditation practice for about 4 years, I think the meditation was keeping me sane and healthy, as opposed to giving me the opportunity to grow and develop on a personal level. So I've done some healing whilst I've been on lockdown. I've spent some time, alone and feeling uncomfortable with that, feeling frustration, feeling isolation, feeling alone. That sense of aloneness and where that's come from, and doing a lot of kind of work on myself. It's been really, really good. Some days have been quite hard, and I felt like I'm in quite a dark place. But most of the time, I felt really quite inspired and positive, and it's given me time to really focus my attention on what I believe I'm here for, what I believe my divine calling is, which Beautiful. Is to use my voice, to share with people about living better, living healthier, living happier, having a spiritual life. And it's also given me time to really focus on the teaching and on my school and on sort of growing that project. Students to become amazing, wonderful beacons of light in their communities too. So
beautiful. Yeah, lockdown for me is the same, really. In regards of meditation, doing the meditations on a daily process. It's really helped me, like you say, become sane. I feel like if you don't do the meditation or you don't do some sort of clearing, everything kind of gets stuck up in you, doesn't it, and built up. And the meditation's great because you channel your own heart, you go into your center and you're able to find peace. So for all who are listening who haven't tried meditation before, I'd really advise to give meditation a go. It's really helped me overcome a lot of mental health issues, which I still deal with. We all have our issues. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so going
in progress, aren't we? We're works in progress, but for me, meditation has been the foundation of a complete transformation of my physical health, my mental well-being, and my life.
Yeah.
I can't recommend it highly enough.
Beautiful. Thank you. So let's talk about hypnotherapy. So can you? Yeah. Woohoo! So just to let everyone know, I've trained in hypnotherapy as well, because I do believe it's very, very important. It gave me a real deep understanding about healing and how to, as client, speaking to clients as well, it gave me a real deep understanding of how to talk to people and understand people on different levels. So Amanda, tell us a bit about hypnotherapy and what it is for those who don't know what it is.
Do you know, hypnotherapy gets all sorts of kind of weird and wonderful things. I think because a lot of people, when they think of hypnosis or hypnotherapy, they think about people on the TV being turned into chickens, or people eating onions and thinking they're apples and stuff like that. So there's a lot of misconceptions. But how I would describe it is hypnotherapy is an altered state of awareness. So when we have our eyes open and we're looking around, we're in one particular state of awareness. When we close our eyes, we're in an altered state of awareness. When we're relaxed, we're in an altered state of awareness. When we're exercising, we're in an altered state of awareness. So hypnotherapy is an altered state of awareness, but enables you to have access to the subconscious mind, which is where all our programming is. It's where all our reactions come from. It's kind of the essence. It's where we are as people. Yeah. Our subconscious mind controls our heart rate when it goes up and down. We don't consciously think about digesting our pasta dinner that we've just eaten. Our subconscious mind does all that for us. So hypnotherapy gives us access to that subconscious mind through that focused state of awareness, and enables us to really support people to transform, to change, to heal, to grow, to reach their objectives, to release themselves from things that are perhaps holding them back, or to kind of overcome or ascend above those sort of behaviors or things that they do that are unhealthy, like smoking or binge eating or whatever it is that we turn to in our lives to give us comfort, I would say. Yeah. So yeah.
Beautiful. And so let's talk a little bit about the brainwaves and as well the brainwaves in hypnotherapy and how this connects to meditation as well, and just give everyone a bit of an outlook about what the states are of the brainwaves and what why understand these.
So in terms of like our brain waves, everything is kind of a wave or respond well to rhythms. We like the sound of the sea because it's kind of flows in and out. It's a wave. We like music. Music speaks to us, doesn't it? I like happy music, sad music, classical music, rock music. But it's rhythmic and we respond to rhythms. So we kind of have these rhythms in our brains that are kind of all there. We all kind of have these frequencies and rhythms. And we've got like the beta or the beta rhythm, which is kind of when we're really wide awake and we're alert. I guess that's probably where I am right now. Very alert, very, conscious, chatting. And then we have a slightly lower frequency called alpha, which is kind of 9 to 13 hertz. And that's kind of relaxed, calm, chilled, but still quite aware and quite focused. But then we go to the deeper brain waves, the theta or the theta. I never know whether I'm English or British or American English. Theta or theta. And that's about 4 to 8 hertz. And that's deep relaxation. It's meditation and deep meditation and it's trance state. So that's that lovely altered state of awareness that we go to where it's a great space to heal. It's a great space to have a chat with our unconscious mind about some of the reactions or the feelings or the behaviours that we have. It's a great place for us to change those things. There's also delta waves as well, which some people do go into hypnosis, and that's a very, very deep, dreamless kind of sleep state where we become completely detached from our body. In hypnosis, this is known as the Esdale state or sleep hypnosis state. And there's all sorts of interesting research still going on. It's a very unknown area. They've been looking at gamma brainwaves as well, just recently, which this is where they talk about monks who have these heightened states of moments where they kind of have like a download of information from the universe. They get some kind of enlightenment experience. But we're in and out of hypnosis all the time. I'm sure you've caught yourself just kind of gazing at something. You don't really know what you're looking at. You've gone into a lovely daydream. That's hypnosis. When we're driving, particularly if it's a route that we've taken like every day, like our ride to work or something, you'll get to work and think, where was my head? I'm here quick. And if you don't remember every single part of the journey, so we're in and out of hypnosis all day, every day. Children are in hypnosis up until the age of 7. And you can see that. You can see that in them when they're playing, because, they're so engrossed in their games, and so engrossed in their imagination. And hypnotherapy uses imagination a lot. But we're in hypnosis as well when we're going to sleep at night. That's called the hypnagogic state. I always remember it's hypnagogic because we are going to sleep. And in that hypnagogic state, which is a very natural state, a brainwave state, we're kind of just drifting off to sleep. And there's a nice combination there of alpha and theta kind of brain waves, just as we're beginning to fall asleep. And then there's also the hypnopompic state, which is kind of, again, a combination of alpha and theta brain waves as we're waking up. It's that kind of moment, like if you've ever woken up but you're not quite awake yet before your alarm clock's gone off, and you're just lying in bed and you're just really still, and you're under your duvet and you're all snuggled up, but you can really hear the birds singing outside, and you're like, oh, this is so nice, it's so snuggly, and I don't want to move. That's the hypnopompic state. And that's kind of how you feel when you're in hypnosis. You feel very calm, very peaceful, very content, very relaxed. It's a beautiful tool. Whilst you're in that lovely, relaxed space, that's where we can do that therapeutic work. That's where we can do that healing work. And I love it.
Thank you. So Amanda, how does one get in the state of relaxation then? How would you do this as a therapist to be able to say if I just come for a session and I'm kind of everywhere, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm a bit nervous, so on and so forth. What would you do to relax me? How would you do that?
It's a really good question, because there's lots of ways to relax, isn't there? Yeah. So I think first of all, I would want to kind of make an assessment of how anxious or stressed out you are, because if you're coming through my door and you've got adrenaline surging around your body, you've come from a really tough day at work, someone said something awful to you, that's whizzing around your head, you're in a place where you'd feel really anxious. I want to meet that anxiety with some physical relaxation, but I'm going to want you to release some of that tension. So I'm going to, which I would consist of stretching out different body parts and then relaxing them. I'm doing some strange hand motions now, but you might stretch out and feel the tension, be really aware of the tension, have some acceptance of the tension, and then take a lovely deep breath in. And then as you breathe out, just let that limb relax. because everyone's doing it with me. It's lovely. You can't help it. Can you? Like, we're off into hypnosis. And I would do that with each part of the body. And what that does, it just helps the body to deal with, to manage, to meet that stress response, and for you to connect with your body as well. Because when you're in that really high stress state, we tend to be quite disconnected. We kind of live in our head and we're not really feeling our body. So it helps people to come into their body, and that's called an autogenic relaxation. And don't ask me, I can't remember the name of the guy who invented it, but some German dude a really long time ago. I'm going to check that later. And then I might do like a muscle relaxation with somebody. Like, we call it progressive muscle relaxation, because we start with one area and work through the body. And again, this is just a way of bringing some focus to your body, to your being, and become aware. Some people aren't even aware of where they've got tension in their body, because they've got so stressed out, they're not even really aware of where they have tension. So I might start with relaxing the forehead, relaxing the muscles around the eyes, because we forget all of these little muscles. And when we're in stress, we do tend to clench our jaw, we hold our shoulders up to hold our shoulders up high, and we've got loads of tension there. So just kind of help people just to loosen that off. And once people are feeling more relaxed and more settled and calmer, that's when I can help to guide them into hypnosis.
Beautiful. So when I do my meditations and ceremonies, I always do the personal muscle relaxation. It really helps people get into a state where they can relax. So if you do go into meditation, some people find it so hard to be able to relax, because you expect them to relax and they're already in a relaxed state. But when you use the talking to the body, and you use talking to the, like you say, the cheeks and the head, so on and so forth, you're able to actually check in with yourself and kind of calm down how you are feeling. So as well, so say if I've come into the space and through childhood I've not been like you telling me what to do, how would you kind of go about this? Like, say if you have a client who doesn't like to listen or doesn't like being told what to do, how would you kind of tangle this out?
I love those clients, because those clients have got a lovely rebellious spirit, a lovely rebellious energy, and I'm not going to put them into hypnosis, because all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to empower them to make their own choices, and I'm going to guide them. And I will show them and guide them, but they will be completely in control. And then what we'll do is we'll take that lovely rebellious energy and we'll use it to help them, and then they'll be helping themselves and they'll be empowered in those choices. So I love a client who struggles to relax, or who doesn't like doing what you tell them, because they're the best people to work with, because they're like, I'm not doing it. I would not want anyone getting into my head and controlling my thoughts or telling me what to do. I'm a bit of a rebel too. So I totally relate to that. So no, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I'm just a guide. I've just done a lot of research and a lot of training, and I know some tools, really useful tools that are going to help you, and I'm just going to show you how to use them, and you are in control, and I'm not going to tell you what to do ever. I'm just going to guide you. I'm just your guide.
Beautiful. Thank you. So let's talk elimination and how hypnotherapy helps this. So for all of those who are suffering with any pain, how can hypnotherapy help?
Me into hypnosis, and I started with NLP about 20 odd years ago now, and I obviously worked with people who had neurological pain. So this is pain that you can't see, pain that we have no real explanation for. But I think first of all, it's important to really understand what pain is. We have one word, don't we, that describes pain. Pain might be a small headache, or it might be a pounding headache. Pain might be relationship breakdown, or pain might be because you've had some trauma in childhood, or pain might be because your leg's fallen off on the way in. The pain, it comes in lots of different ways, and we've just got one word for it, pain. But pain for me, it's an alarm. It's an alarm mechanism. It's a signal. It's telling if we're feeling it in our body, if we're feeling it in our heart, if we're feeling it in our head, if we've got pain, whatever the pain is, it's a signal that's telling us that something is wrong or we need to do something different. So pain can be our friend because it can be really useful in guiding us into how we can change things. So obviously I've worked with people who've got sort of neurological pain because they've got a spinal injury and they've got kind of weird messages going through. And what we can do of the subconscious mind, you've got to bear in mind that the conscious mind is titchy tiny and the subconscious mind is massive. If there was going to be a fight between the conscious and the unconscious would win hands down every time. It'd be like, I don't know, Mike Tyson taking on me. He'd definitely win. So what we do is we have a really nice chat with the subconscious mind, and we ask the subconscious mind to help us, and we can do that in lots of different ways. But what we can do is we can turn down the noise, the sound, the experience of that pain. And in many cases, we can actually switch it off altogether. But I think the most important thing is to really work, what is that pain that you're experiencing? Is it an emotional scar? Is it a physical injury? Quite often, you've had surgery, but years later, you're still experiencing tenderness in that area, but the healing has happened. And I really believe that the body stores memories in the muscles, it stores memories in the cells. And sometimes we just need to remind the body to heal itself, remind the body to let go of the trauma, remind the body how to be pain-free. And it can be just a simple step. So pain is an alarm signal. Beautiful. Let's work out what it's telling us, and let's deal with that. And everybody, such a different and personal way. So I would work with pain in a very individual way.
Beautiful. Thank you. So limiting beliefs, fears and phobias, where do these come from, Amanda?
It's a very good question. When we're young and our minds are open and we haven't developed a conscious mind yet, that's up until about the age of 7. We're like little sponges. We just take everything in. And sometimes we can experience things that might not even be that bad, but we can experience things that feel quite traumatic to our bodies, to our minds, to our beings. Sometimes it can be things that people have said to us that we're not going to be very good at something, or we're never going to achieve something. Or it might be almost like, I know my family are quite sort of working class, and my dad always had this thing, never forget where you've come from, like almost like a pride in being poor, pride in being limited in what we can achieve in our lives. And I've had to work on freeing myself from those beliefs and limitations. So these beliefs are installed right throughout our existence, really. I work a lot with people who have phobias. Phobias are fabulous to work with because it's very quick to get rid of phobias. I'll give you an example. So I was working with a lady who had a really bad spider phobia to the point where she couldn't actually go to the toilet at work. So by the time she got home at the end of the day, she had to run in the front door full speed straight into the bathroom. So it was really not good for her to have this phobia at all. It wasn't doing her any favours. And she was noticing that her little girl was beginning to develop similar phobias, and she thought, I need to deal with this. And what had happened when she was very, very young, a spider, I'm assuming it was quite a big, hairy spider, had ran across the floor, and her grandmother had seen it while she was playing, and her grandmother had let out this almighty shriek, and it had completely shook her. And of course, our unconscious mind's job is to stop us from dying. It's to keep us safe and well and healthy. So our unconscious mind read that situation as very, very, very dangerous. And so anytime now when she thinks about a spider, sees a spider on TV, think there might even be a spider in the room, she was gonna trigger off that, be careful careful, caution, don't go in there, ooh, and there's panicky feelings, and they're manifesting as an increase in heart rate because you're getting ready to run away, manifesting as kind of like sweaty hands, like perspiring, increasing in changing in how you're breathing, these physiological responses that people have come from experiences that we've had, but we can actually change how the subconscious mind chooses or reacts or responds to those situations in life with hypnotherapy very, very effectively. Fears are slightly different. Fears are usually a bit more like a layer. Something negative happened, and then something else negative happened, and fears tend to kind of build like an onion with lots of layers, and sometimes with fears it can take slightly longer to get to the center of what that fear is. But yeah, fears and phobias, limiting beliefs, faulty programming, and that's what with hypnotherapy we reprogram so that you can live healthy, happy and well. And it's
beautiful.
It's an incredibly powerful tool. I love it.
Beautiful. And so going forward onto addictions, how would you work with addictions for someone who has an addiction? And from my perspective, it seems that you'd get a client through the door, and if they don't want to actually get rid of the addiction, they won't, and they'll do the hypnotherapy and it won't work. Have you had that before, where you've had the sense that someone's wanted to change, but you've known from when they've come through the door they don't want to actually make the will to do the change? So
I will not work with anyone who I don't feel is ready, because I'm not going to waste their time, and I'm not going to take their money if they're not ready. I think that the best example I can think of is with the smoking. Nicotine is like super addictive. It triggers off dopamine in the brain. Dopamine's that lovely reward chemical. It's the well done, you've graduated. It's the look at your new pair of shoes. It's that kind of release of chemicals in the brain. It's powerful stuff. Makes you feel really good. Nicotine hijacks actually that dopamine, so that when you have those happy moments later, you're not gonna have such a release in the real kind of happy moments in your life, because all that lovely dopamine's been hijacked by the nicotine. And nicotine in itself is the most addictive substance. It's terrible. So in combination with the addiction and that kind of dopamine we love, we've also got to deal with around the addiction. I hate the word addiction. I don't even really think there's such a thing as addiction. What I really believe is that people have pain, people have challenges, people have troubles and difficulties and worries, and that what they do is they turn to things, food, drink, smoking, whatever, as a way of numbing, managing, reducing their pain. And a lot of that pain comes from a feeling of being disconnected, either from friends, families, communities, from themselves as well. It's quite often a disconnection from self. I don't know who I am anymore, that kind of a disconnect. And quite often substances can connect them to that sense of self. I don't believe that it's a real connection, but it's still a connection, and that makes smoking, drinking, drug taking, eating loads of chocolate, it makes all that really desirable. And I think as well, in combination with cultural things, we're all told from a young age that sugary chocolatey things are a treat, they're a reward, they're for so we tend to reward ourselves, don't we? So I look of it. But with smoking, what I tend to do before people come to see me is to set them a little challenge. First of all, I find out how many cigarettes they're smoking and how addicted they are to the nicotine. And then I set them a little challenge, which is a mindful smoking challenge. So I get them to mindfully smoke for a week before they come and see me, which sounds mad, but people will pick up a cigarette packet, and nowadays cigarette packets have got these really I've got one over here actually. I'll just go grab it. Hang on. We've got these really horrible pictures on them.
Yeah.
This is an old packet that a client gave me when they had successfully become smoke-free. But we don't look at the packet. This packet says, smoking reduces fertility. What is it doing to your body to reduce your fertility?
Yeah.
So I get them to look at the packet of the cigarette and read everything that's on it so that they're very aware of what they're doing. Then I get them to check in with what's going on in their body. Quite often people get a little sense of desire, they get a craving. Whereabouts are they feeling it? Are they feeling it in their heart? Are they feeling it in their belly? Are they feeling it in their throat? Is it in their head? What physical responses are going on in their body? What does that desire, what does that craving, what does that itch that they can't scratch, what's that feel like for them? And work out what it is. Then I get them to put the cigarette in the mouth, feel the cigarette in the mouth, be aware of the sensations, what's going on within them as they're feeling that sensation. Light it, be aware of the temperature, be aware of the flavour. And what generally happens is that people go, I really don't like smoking. I really don't like this. It's really not. And they're already coming to me and saying, I want to stop. But this just gives them a real awareness, and I think that awareness of what you're doing to yourself is a big first step. And then I often talk to them about the fantasy cigarette. The fantasy, we all have these fantasies. That fantasy cigarette, when I smoke that cigarette, I'm going to feel calm. Well, the science says the opposite. When I smoke that cigarette, I'm going to feel more energized and awake. When I smoke that cigarette, I'm going to get a break from work. Now, that might be true. But, people have lots of ideas about what they get from a cigarette, what they're going to get from a bar of chocolate, what they're going to get from a glass of wine. They have these fantasies. So I like to be able to highlight what those fantasies are. And by kind of like going through that process of preparing, becoming very aware of the thing that they're addicted to, having some acceptance of it, understanding it, the habits, the rituals around it, the fantasies around it, the misconceptions, the lies that we tell ourselves. When people become aware of all of those things, then they're ready. And at that point, I provide them with a very powerful tool to help them to manage, to deal, and to set themselves free. I really feel that with all addictions, with all things that we do again and again and again that are harmful to ourselves or the people who we love around us, we put ourselves in these prisons, in these jails. But the key is very often on the inside. You just have to ask for help. You just have to choose to not do this anymore and unlock the door from the inside of the jail. You hold the key and get that help, whether it be from a smoking advisor, a drug counsellor, or from somebody like yourself or myself, and get those tools and those skills that you need to break you free, to break you out of that jail of addiction.
It's a very complicated situation, addiction. I've had addiction before in my past, and it took me a hell of a long time to be able to come to terms with it and actually release it. I kind of went through it all, then I figured out it was from a relationship when I was about 18 years, a relationship for a long time. And all of a sudden I was quite not dependent. I was a bit codependent on the person. And all of a sudden my reality crashed about 2021 when we came apart. And I was like, right, I've not done anything towards myself. And it was all about a big lesson about me doing the inner work. And because that was the start of it, because I was being sane, and all of a sudden I lost that love. And I went on this journey of trying to figure out who I was. And hypnotherapy and stuff like that has really helped me being able to figure out and go back. So connecting this as well, Amanda, do you take people back to any issues in the sessions? Do you regress anybody going back to find out?
I'm a huge fan of regression therapy.
Yeah.
There are multiple different techniques that I use, obviously depending on who I'm working with. But sometimes it's important to revisit those, to ask the subconscious mind to take us to the moment that was the root of the problem. I kind of think about it as it's a bit like a tree. So something happens, that's the seed that goes into the ground. That's the moment when everything is kind of dark and you're in the shit and you're kind of in that dark place, buried under the ground, and the problem starts. The seed is there. And then that grows. And it grows up and it grows lots and lots of branches. And these branches invade lots of different areas of your life, your relationships, your work, your personal life, just every aspect of your life. It kind of puts branches, but it also puts roots into the ground as well. And you know, your belief systems change, your perceptions of the world change as a result of that experience. So what hypnotherapy does, is, first of all, it helps you to feel a bit better because it kind of like chops the branches off, takes back some of those kind of like things that are going on in your life and helps you to kind of just feel a bit more in control. And then what it does is it then goes back, and this is kind of what the regression work does, takes you back to that moment when it was a seed, and it digs it out of the ground, it pulls it out of the ground, and then usually we're left with a big hole. So then what hypnotherapy can then do, it helps to fill that hole with the things that you want to achieve in your life, the places you want to go, the feelings you want to have. And I think that's what happens a lot with addiction. You know, people stop smoking, so they start eating. People, stop drinking, so they start smoking cannabis instead. A lot of addicts, I don't like that word addict either. It's too much of a label, and it doesn't really. I think we're talking about pain here. This is what I really believe. It's pain, trauma, whatever's happened. You know, and what we do is we pull out one tree, and we've just got a massive hole, and the subconscious mind doesn't like that, so it'll fill it with something else. So what's really important is that that hole that's created, because that's what drugs do, that's what alcohol does, it fills a big hole. We want to have that sense of fullness. Then I usually make recommendations on how people can take care of themselves to keep that sense of fulfillment, to keep that sense of peace, to keep that sense of wholeness as well. And that's where I believe personally that spirituality, spiritual practices, ancient practices, modern practices, whatever you want, everybody finds something for them. It might be singing, it might be dancing, it might be yoga, it might be meditation. I'm a huge fan of meditation. That for me is what then, after the healing has occurred, that's then what kind of drives you into a positive place and keeps you in that positive space in your life as well.
Beautiful, thank you. So going on to a biggie, which is a lot of people deal with, is anxiety. What's your idea on anxiety, and for those listening who do suffer from anxiety, and what would you recommend, and what's your advice?
Do you know what? Again, anxiety is just this big label, isn't it? That we hear a lot, it gets thrown about quite a lot. But anxiety is a very personal thing. It might be that you have digestive problems. It might be that you have breathing problems. It might be that your heart beats. It might be that you can't go out. It might be that you can't speak to people. So I think first of all, when I'm working with somebody, I like to understand what they mean by anxiety. In a very kind of general sense, anxiety is about looking into the future and imagining lots of dreadful, horrible things happening. Depression is more about kind of looking at the past. And for me, it's a bit like, something bad has happened, and because my subconscious mind wants to keep me alive and healthy and safe and well, my subconscious mind is going to remind me of that negative incident every single day. It's not going to just remind me of it. It's going to zoom in, like I've got like a zoom camera lens. It's going to zoom in on the worst bit of that moment. It's going to make it louder. It's going to make it bigger. And it's really just reminding me to stay away from situations that are like that, and stay safe. So depression is about kind of being stuck in the past. Anxiety is really about the fear of what's in front of us. And there's lots of tools and skills, and hypnotherapy is fantastic for really massively reducing the physical responses in the body that might be anxiety for you. But what I feel is the most important thing that what I can teach somebody and guide somebody in somebody who's had anxiety for a long time is that when you're in the here, when you're in the now, when you're in the present moment, and when you're very connected with who you are, you've got that sense of self, you're connected with this moment, your body, what you're doing from minute to minute, you're in the now. It's a very mindful kind of idea when you're in that kind of, which meditation is great for helping you to be, when you're aware of where you are right here, right now, and you're not being afraid of the future as well. So as well as kind of being able to edit, tweak the programming that's within you as a result of the things that have happened in the past or about your fears for the future, we can also guide you and show you how to be very much present in the moment. And that's when you're in that place, that middle ground, that middle road, where there is no anxiety and where there is no depression.
Beautiful, thank you. So looking forward as well to so people's relationships with themselves. So for those people who find it hard to be able to manifest futures or even see themselves manifesting and actually living the dream, those, if anybody's listening now and they feel stuck, that they can't live their own dream, or they've got programs inside of them from their parents or stopping themselves from actually be thinking, oh, I am a spiritual being, I am a powerful person. How would you recommend hypnotherapy for someone who deals with the self-hatred and those programmings we have?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's everybody is so very individual. So, yeah. But the kind of the overall concept is, if something has happened in the past that's caused them to have these feelings in the present, then I would use a variety of techniques, but a lot of what we call reframing. So we change the perspective, we change the understanding of that situation that's happened in the past. It's almost like we've got a time machine and we've gone back in a time machine to that point where that horrible thing that happened that caused you to have those feelings of self-hatred, those feelings of pain that you're having at the moment. We've got a time machine and we've gone back to that time where it all started, and we've gone, hey, what do you need so that you feel okay? What do you need in this moment so that you feel all right? Well, let's give you that. Let's give you that support that you need. And you know, the solutions to all of our problems are within us. And the subconscious mind knows how to heal itself. We have an inner physician. You know, if you cut your finger, your body knows how to heal itself. Similarly, if your mind is damaged, if you've got faulty programming, your subconscious knows how to heal it. We just need to use tools to make that happen. And that's what hypnotherapy does. It gives you those tools. So get in my time machine, go back to the point where the root of the problem, where it all started, and we change our perspective, we change our understanding, we give ourselves the things that we didn't have, we nurture ourselves, we give ourselves the love that we were maybe lacking, the support that we didn't have in those moments, we give ourselves that. And that changes our story. It changes the story that's brought us to the place where we are now. And it enables us to feel different and enables us to then fire it into the future, to any future that we want, with feeling powerful about those choices that we make.
The famous Bruce Lee quote, the medicine for my suffering is something I had in me all this time. So which is one of my favourite quotes of all time.
Oh, you're
So
going to have
you
to
learn.
write that one down for me. That's good.
Yeah, I heard it probably about 2 years ago or something, and it really touched me. What he said, his philosophy and his the self work, and how important it is to realize that all your healing relies within. We have to do the self work, and the self work so important. I've been doing loads of it when I've been in this Corona time. I've been making sure I go up at 10 a.m., do my meditation, speak to myself. I've been speaking to myself lots lately and telling myself how I'm feeling, because I really do feel we need to change the relationship with ourselves. We need to look at ourselves, even if it's in a mirror once a day, and tell ourselves we love ourselves and we accept ourselves for who we are. There's a lot of programs I have myself from my my parents of limitations of, even comes to money and stuff like that. I've got all this ancestral karma what I have to work with, and we all have this ancestral karma which we have to find the tools. And hypnotherapy is great, because hypnotherapy can help you get rid of this ancestral karma, this stuff which has been created in your lineage, which gets passed on down to you. So what would you recommend for all of those wanting to do and train in hypnotherapy, just even for their own process? Why would you recommend training in it?
Well, if you feel like you're the kind of person who has a desire to support and help people through transformations, to break away from these old programs, these faulty programs, these negative thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. If you're the sort of person who feels like you wanna have a job where you do that, you help people for a living, then I think hypnotherapy is an incredible tool. Quite a lot of the people who come on my courses are already therapists. Quite often they're physical body therapists or energy therapists, and they're looking for additional tools to be able to support their clients, their customers, their friends, their families as well. So I think if you're looking for a career where you want to help people, hypnotherapy is a fantastic modality, healing modality to train in. I think as you're training, you get to learn the techniques, but you get to experience the therapy as well. Every kind of therapy, and that is in itself is such a personal development, personal growth experience as well. So if you come and do a hypnotherapy course, expect a powerful transformation within you, as well as just learning new skills so that you can support other people. Hypnotherapy has been an absolute blessing in my life on a personal level and on a professional level. But I absolutely love my job. And when I get results from people, when people say, hey, I've never smoked since that session, or I don't drink anymore, or I work a lot with people who struggle with fertility, and that's evidence there's now a baby. Or women have talked to me about hypnobirthing, and they've sort of had a beautiful birthing experience, even though when they were pregnant they were told all these horror stories and they were really freaked out, but actually the experience was really quite beautiful and joyful. When people come back to me and say, hey, I felt anxious and I'm not anymore, and now I'm able to live really well, or when people talk about food problems, either undereating or overeating, whatever it is, when people come back to me and tell me how their lives have improved dramatically, I mean, that's the best in the world. There's nothing like that. That's the most rewarding, beautiful blessing that anybody could ever ask for. Money can't buy that kind of loveliness. So I feel really blessed that I've ended up working as a hypnotherapist. But I really just have this. There's so many people in need. There are so many people struggling, so many people who are a bit lost, so many people who need these tools, which is what brought me into training people to become clinical hypnotherapists, because there needs to be more of us out there doing this work. And the standard of what we're doing needs to be high as well. People really need to know how to support people who are quite poorly. People really need to know how to support people who do have a lot of pain. People people need to have those skills and really feel confident in using those skills. So I created my own hypnotherapy course, and I'm now teaching and training online at the moment. So I have a foundation course, which is just 2 days, and it's usually over a weekend. And that's really a come and dip your toe in the water and see whether it's for you. And on that day, we learn about the history of hypnotherapy, the pioneers who studied and researched and worked so hard to bring hypnotherapy to where it is today. You know, a progressive, dynamic, still growing. We're still learning so many new things about the mind. It's so exciting. So we learn all about the pioneers and the kind of the roots of where everything came from. And we learn how to very safely put people into trance and bring them out. And we learn how to build their confidence, and we learn how to build your confidence, because I think a lack of confidence is a huge problem. And then if after the foundation course you think, I like this is going to be for me, then you can stay on and do the full program and graduate with an accredited diploma in clinical hypnotherapy. And you can actually get out there and start supporting people in their transformations and in their healing processes. And that's exciting. That's exciting.
It is.
It's lovely, and I love it.
Beautiful.
So I have the Northern College of Clinical Hypnotherapy.
And we'll pop all the links in the bottom, so you'll see them when you're watching the show. So I'd like to say thank you so much, Amanda, for coming on the show. You're an absolute star, and it's such a privilege, and it's so nice to work with you. You're very welcoming, and you have such a lovely presence about you. So I appreciate you, and thank you.
Lovely. It's been so nice, because I'm usually doing the interviewing, so it's been really nice to have the other way around. I've right enjoyed myself. Thank you so much. And it was lovely to meet you too, Chris, as well. Just kind of
Chris.
bobbing around in the background, smiling at us both. But thank you for being a technical guy. You're great. All right. Thank you so much. Many blessings and lots of love.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Take care. Thank you, my darling.
Bye now.